completely shut down some of this draft's top-rated wide receivers. When you're tasked with neutralizing an opponent's number one wideout each week, there's a great deal of responsibility to ensure you're not just physically ready, but also mentally ready. This is another important trait the GMs I spoke with mentioned to me that made them so excited about this guy. The hope is that he will quickly learn the playbook, get some solid reps in the preseason, and come week one, be ready to play.
You got me like, ooh. You got me like, You got me like, ooh. I'm feeling you. Yeah.
The Rams are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Falling too fast to prepare for this. Tripping in the world could be dangerous. Everybody circling as vultures. Negative, nepotist. Everybody waiting for the fall of man. Everybody praying for the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one. I was born to run, I was born for this. Whip, whip, run me like a racehorse. Pull me like a ripcord. Break me down and build me up. I wanna be the slip, slip. Word upon your lip, lip. Rather that you rip, rip. Break me down and build me up. Whatever it takes.
Browns just made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about Black?
Matt Miller was glued to the ongoing soap opera that was his story this season. A feared pass rusher, he couldn't quite seem to play with the same intensity on a week-to-week basis. Some weeks he looked absolutely unstoppable, terrorizing opposing quarterbacks. Others he looked out of place, struggling to make any sort of impact, even taking himself out of the game multiple times in fits of frustration. Some GMs I spoke to felt that his lack of consistency was due to a lack of maturity, something that can be easily addressed by the right coaching staff. This pick could have tremendous upside or could end up as a what could have been story. It should be interesting to see how this saga plays out.
Egotistical, don't wanna be the parenthetical, hypothetical, working under something that I'm proud of, out of the box, an epoxy to the world and the vision we've lost. I'm an apostrophe, I'm just a symbol to remind you that there's more to see. I'm just a product of the system of catastrophe, and yet a masterpiece, and yet I'm half diseased. And when I am deceased, at least I go down to the grave and die happily, and leave the body of my soul to be a part of me. I do what it takes, whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes, 'cause I love how it feels when I break the chain.
All right, let's go to Adam Schefter, who's got more on this pick.
His draft stock took a hit at his pro day when he failed to look natural in any of the drop back and ball reaction drills. As Matt Miller put it, it looked like the sun was in his eyes every time he turned around to look for the ball. Sometimes the receiver would break to the right, but he would go to the left too many times. Think with enough coaching, he can sharpen his ability to play in single coverage. We'll see if he becomes a starter at some point down the line for this team.
The Buccaneers are now on the clock.
No Harvard, but I was a scholar. Hard knocks, and I learned to be smarter. Don't prefer to be bored.
The Falcons are now on the clock.
That's word to my father. I will for my mother. deal with my brothers. Keep it real. Don't talk with no. Plus I duck undercover. Gotta stay on this mission. Got a vision that's endless.
All right, now that the pick's in, let's go to Adam. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
He's a Heisman-winning defender. Let me say that one more time. He won the Heisman, and he's a defensive player. Need I say more? You can imagine how well he played this season to win the biggest award in college over several offensive playmakers. The trophy was well-deserved, and according to Matt Miller, he projects really well as a defender in the NFL. I think this is a home run pick, and it's great to see a defender get some well-deserved recognition.
I'm dead. Okay, now we back to square one. It's hard to square up. Everybody got come, mama cries, dead sons. Lord, please bless them. Back to the party. I'm just pouring my. Don't get face that before, so I live it up. When I come, better get them up. That's a floss track, better get them up. I'ma keep eating, it's a dinner rush. I'll let you finish up.
The Bears are now on the clock.
This being modest, I am your highness, I am the finest. You rappers, plus you a liar. Don't idolize and I don't admire. Been doing me for like ever. I'm a better me, more clever. It's a new way. We surfing, baby, new age. That's a certain, baby. Let's take a ride. Put your for the ones that die. It's vows tonight. Just you and I get lost tonight. Then lose your mind. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
I go out for my squad and I put that on. Squad. All I got is my word and my word is my bond. Squad. Yeah, they gon' look at you different when you moving forward.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
But you stick to the code, you get yours, I get mine. Squad. Yeah, I go extra high for my entourage. Check my repertoire. Jim Jones, everywhere I go, you know it's reppin' time. When Latifah ready, when we set it off. If they sleeping on me, I'ma wake them up. They fakers. I really do. I'm kicking up the rent is due. Plus I got my mama and my kiddies too. They growing up. Time is moving faster. What we wasting for? No holding back. Got a lot to prove. I owe you that we all we got. I go out for my squad and I put that on squad. All I got is my word and my word is my bond. Squad. Yeah, they gon' look at you different when you moving forward. Shoulders, but just stick to the code. You get yours, I get mine. I've been reflecting on how we got this far, even when the pressure's on, finessing strong. Plus I got my team around me heavy, ain't no extra bros. You can keep them.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
Know who gon' be there for you if you lose it all. Question that, who gon' have your mama back? Think about it, it's so much more to life, take advantage. We gon' get this money, stack this paper and be alright. We gon' run it, keep on finish on sight. I go hard for my squad, and I put that on squad. All I got is my word, and my word is my bond. Squad. Yeah, they gon' look at you different when you moving forward. But just stick to the code, you get yours, I get mine. Squad.
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Steelers are now on the clock. Let's go to Adam now, who's got more on the Steelers' last pick.
Just 2 years ago, he was on the boxing team for a small school before transferring and using his final year of eligibility to play football for a bigger program. Right away, he made an impact for the team, compensating for what he lacked in with pure intensity and aggression. He's going to need to learn to play more with his head and see the game differently at the next level, but he has all the tools to develop into a great player. It all comes down to what the coaches can get out of him, and this first off season will be a major test for him.
Whole team eating, but it's only right. There's a spare plate, but you're the phony type. J-Hut's ugly in it, baby 1 minute.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Hey yo, I started off gentle, my stroke game mental, my lifestyle eventful.
The Bengals are now on the clock.
Fendi belt saying, I style like I'm mental, moving wild and mental. I made another.
Adam, what can you tell us about the Bengals' newest player?
He was having a relatively quiet season this year, but we all know how one big showing can quickly turn things around. His late-game heroics and Hail Mary went down as one of the greatest moments of the entire season. Since then, he's continued to show a knack for stepping up his level of play in clutch situations and was able to pull off a string of impressive victories, each time increasing his draft stock. Some say you can only capture lightning in a bottle once, but I believe he can do it again. And apparently, his team does too.
Say you're gonna do it, you haven't did it. I'm handling it, handy with it. Think I'ma do it, let that do it. Bang, stick jam like what happened to it. Was it not working, bruv? Why you think I'm lurking, bruv? Creep on him, lean on him, witnesses eavesdropping. Keep popping, they keep bopping like I ain't seen nothing. Don't make me upset, reach for an object. Who's that in the passenger? Brown skin, got big body. In my face, on me. Money, I got that for me. You're not popping, never pop nothing. Stop bluffing. Your opinion, always destined for brilliance. Wouldn't rest on a million, dressed as civilians. All them masked up, looking creepy. Park up, jump out, jump in. Skirt out like it's too easy. If anybody else didn't see me, doing styles on them like it's common sense. Hopped out the Benz like it's common sense. Put a monkey on my feet like it's common sense. Got gorillas in the streets like it's common sense. Stack the money heads up like it's second nature. Gotta stay pulled up like it's second nature. Keep a chip in my ear like it's second nature. Make me scared like it's second nature.
The Broncos are now on the clock. The Chiefs are now on the clock. The Cowboys are now on the clock.
up the bills with my dominant hand. Yo, choose up. Take this, appreciate it. This too. But tear up the rim shot. I'm going global, coast to coast like my G.I. Joe present. I've yet to see a Cobra. So off my rocker got me sipping club soda. Some bombs never go off, some stars never blow up. I'm pitching in, never in the dugout. Reaching in my and I can't take a head count. Flashback, 03, things was looking rundown. Now I set foot in the place, it's a luau. Killing like 10 counts. Y'all know how we get down. House with the fence around. Y'all know that we en route. Transition from the Impala to the Fisker. I should charge admission for that to get the dessert. Left the doors up, now the Lambo has pigtails. Since you getting comfy, I'ma let you sit there. I'ma let you stay there. When I shed a tear, they didn't have no care. So I'ma charge retail. I brought some cause you say you want sit. If you love sick in the room, you best get well. Every dog has its day. What the no tuck. Sway Lee Winter Magazine, double XL. Floss with your Gucci on. Dipped in colors, burst on the cars and the jewels. I'm a wanted man. Seats looking like they got a spray tan. When I was without, not a helping hand. I got some guys that throw it back and make me drop the cans.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
I could let my fit go to the highest bid.
The 49ers are now on the clock.
It all depends. Junior high, I was dreaming of a 10. I'm coming clean though. I mean, not a spec. My girl be serving looks. I can chef. Katana sword popping out my walking cane. I'm overseas, my Cali Bay like how I was.
Shefty McKenzie, the pick here. What do you have to say?
Long talked about as a top 3 defensive back prospect, his draft stock fell dramatically after a series of consecutive struggles late in the season against inferior wide receivers. Many speculated that these struggles were due to a series of nagging injuries, a theory which may have been validated by his strong performance at his pro day. I was able to talk with several GMs about him at the Combine, and they told me he possesses the raw physical skills needed to become a top-tier NFL defensive back. 3 skills in particular were mentioned by every GM I spoke to: exceptional physicality at the line of scrimmage, a nose for the ball, and better hands than most receivers they've seen and scouted. The reason for his collegiate struggles may forever be shrouded in mystery, but they'll soon be forgotten if he's able to realize his full football potential.
Let's cut to the chase. It's only on the house when we in the place. My used to lava boys got it up in some flames. Stirring up the cup with my wrist souffle. Shaka Zulu chains with my name engraved. I told you on swing, don't say my name in vain. We bring it to your door like, you rang? Spending all the money, then we watch it boomerang. With the Fendi belt, angry face like, put some gold on my fingers, neck, and shoestrings. Long time no see, that's what they say when they see me, man. I've been going crazy just to stay sane. Hey, your girl went missing, who's to blame? Young whippersnapper with the range. Pause, then I went to range. Call that hottie on my stage. Long week, but a great day. So it got me like sage. And on me, you should get a raise. On me, yeah, you can hate.
Pick's been made. Let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about the player.
He was an offensive lineman that didn't get a lot of attention in the draft process until after the All-Star game. He was matched up against one of the top defensive linemen in the draft this year, and he straight up stonewalled him. They were calling blitz and showing heavy fronts all game, but he had him blocked step for step the whole game. It was the kind of performance that can send a lineman's draft stock skyrocketing, and it looks to have earned him a spot on the team. We'll see if he can be the blocker the team expects him to be after shutting down one of the better defensive linemen in this class.
Yeah, I've been ballin', yeah. Just to let you know I'm ballin'. I'm a smoke, make it rain just to let you know. Tell a hater get up out my face. Yeah, I've been ballin' since like yesterday. Yeah, all this money all up in.
The Rams are now on the clock.
All this money in the way. You know that I'm walking with the brain. Yeah. Whoa.
Browns are now on the clock.
Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Ay, yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Ay, every day I'm shot callin'. I'm a spray, make it rain just to let you know I've been ballin'. Ay, yeah, I've been ballin'. Yeah, just to let you know I'm ballin'. I'm a spray, make it rain just to let you know. Yeah, you cannot see me, the windows is tinted. Yeah, driving around right in that Bentley. Ay, you driving around right in that Bentley. Ay, but your shit, it just be rented. Ay, but that is none of my business. Ay, money won't stop me, go straight to the top. Believe it or not, you like getting the same. Yeah, she know I'm a rock star. Looking at my chain, on my diamonds rock hard. Turned the way up, I ain't getting tired. And if you wanna race, then we gonna ride. Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Ay, yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Ay, every day I'm shot callin'. I'm a spray, make it rain just to let you know I've been ballin'. Ay, yeah, I've been ballin'. Yeah, just to let you know I'm ballin'. I'm a spray, make it rain just to let you know.
The Ravens are now on the clock.
Polo to the flow though. You already know though. It's Adamville for real. You see ya, just take a photo. I'm reppin' that's on photo with a on your brodo. Cause that Jodo thought that he could rob a player for some dodo. Oh no, also Allen Temple. Also England Mountain. Also Misty Valley. And I got a couple yesterday out of Cali. And my bag from the valley bought me brand new balance. And I'm playing with a no American dream, dusted roll. Man, she been riding since her daddy rode on bowl. I done in every hole, telling every I ain't with my wife, but if she meet her, might be a go. Rick Flair flashy. Don't I look dashy? Don't I look classy? Don't act so sassy. I'm the man, boo. That's with or without you. With what your say. Show me what that.
I hear him talking reckless. I won't even stress. Just kill him softly with my press. Won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, but it's the best. Hey, don't you see me out here shining, barely flex. I hear him talking reckless. I won't even stress. Just kill him softly with my press. Won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, but it's the best. And even if we die today, gon' live forever. Live forever.
Daddy pants ain't with 3 S's. Pick the S's, no S's on my chest, but all these diamonds got me blessed. Usually I don't do this. Dumb it down, go stupid. Since 17, been counting M's, my bank accounts on Goofy.
The Titans are now on the clock.
Know what the truth is.
The Titans have just made Fuller their guy. Let's go to Adam for more.
After a string of injuries his junior year and what looked like more of the same his senior year, he made the decision to leave the team. It was a difficult choice to make, but after consulting with the trainers and coaches, it seemed like the best long-term option. His body needed more time to heal from past injuries, and opting out of his senior year helped him make a complete recovery in preparation for the draft. So even though there wasn't a lot of recent tape on him, he did put on a good show at the Combine, convincing scouts he hadn't lost a step. Some teams were concerned with his competitiveness after foregoing that final year of eligibility, but at least one team was confident enough to pick him up. Now we'll see if this team can keep him healthy and on the field.
They say it lonely at the top, but it's the best. Don't you see me out here shining, barely flexing. I hear him talking reckless. I won't even stress it. Just kill him softly with my breath. Won't even address it. They say it lonely at the top. This the best. And even if we die today, don't live forever. Live forever.
Yo, listen, just like I told Coco, my vision is you already know though. So go, slow, back my logo, for show, Coco. Get down on the. Yo, listen, just like I told Coco, my vision is you already know though. So go, slow, back my logo, for show, Coco. Now get down on that.
The Texans are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock.
Low fish. I say, Lord, be my savior when it come to getting this paper. Please protect me from my haters. Just say me and I won't save us.
The Falcons are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock.
I'm laughing to the bank. All new blue Benny Franks. Pulled up on him in the tank. Yeah, that guy just a rap guy. I'm so mad fly in, he ain't. Let me.
The Bears are now on the clock.
I was going on Miami. They all cornballs. They can't stand me. I finesse. I done. I hear. Get a plan.
The Cardinals are now on the clock. The Raiders are now on the clock.
Don't touch, we flow up, she lucky, cause she 5 mil cash in Kentucky. Call me, I walk up in demons, spend 10K just like it's nothing. I hang with the demons, they don't play by me, we cut. I was coolin', Atlanta, mixed the with the fan up. All them, I got Santa, I go monkey, all that. Gonna do just what I say. Pull up, fastest Uber in that right. She so bad, but she said. I feel guilty, I might as well just plead my case. I say, Lord, be my savior when it come to getting this paper. Please protect me from my haters. Just say me and I won't save us. Say amen. That boys in that can't win. Check. Going up.
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Patriots are now on the clock. The Jaguars are now on the clock.
And I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless. And I really can't help it. I never felt selfish before. I've been living so reckless, I know. Tell me, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me? Now everybody got problems, yeah, but waiting no more way to solve them. I really came up from the bottom, struggling my mama on the last dollar. Hustling, man, I've been putting in these hours. The government been trying to take away with ours. Really all about the money and the power. I just want to see my people in power. Tell me how we gon' shape this vision. Complaining all day, but in the same condition. If you wanna make change, it's gon' take commitment. Some people enslaved by their religion can't emancipate the fundamental principles. What I see through optics transform the wisdom. Watch me use my prophets, get them on the list, and I've been on a mission. And I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless. And I really can't help it. I never felt selfish before. I've been living so reckless, I know. Tell me, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me? Now everybody got fights, yeah, but wouldn't know what good advice was. Till they leave him lifeless. Another mama crime, it's another crisis. Lord knows we just trying to live righteous. Are you willing just to make the sacrifices? I know we can't continue living like this, and I never sell my soul cause that's priceless. Tell me how we gon' make a living. Hustle on the block, who gon' save the children? Man, it's all a plot and I'm just revealing. The media just trying to make.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Paint a picture, voices in my head, I hear the whispers when I feel this way.
The Bengals are now on the clock.
I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless. And I really can't help it.
Adam, what can you tell us about Vasquez? If anyone should get a trophy for how to train in preparation for the draft, it has to be this kid. A lot of second-year guys will bulk up in the offseason to better protect their bodies from the intense physical demands of the NFL. It was smart of him and the trainers to get a head start on the rest of the class in that area. And from what I've been told, he hasn't lost a step. Now, when you look at him, you see a player that can contribute in week one. He's more conditioned than most of his fellow classmates, and that's going to help him hit the ground running once the season kicks off.
I've never felt selfish before. I've been living so reckless, I know. To me, Lord, you help me. I said, Lord, you help me. I said, Lord, you help me. I stay myself, I never change, yeah. Do whatever, get you paid, yeah. Cause, but I still low. Got 100 different to my cell phone. Still 33 for low. I'ma ride to my dog sitting in jail.
The Broncos are now on the clock. The Chiefs are now on the clock.
I'm on flash, I'm on flat, sure. I'm at magic, I'm at mileage, let them go. Then it's right back to the when I'm low. Bars never close and we wide open. Kicking flavor with me, neighbor, yeah, we local. Rap the bottom, cause the bottom where we come from. Me no pray for little paper, need a lump sum. Real spill, yeah, a recipe, yeah. Broke, real, little rich. Fall in love with her, she just wanna be block, yeah. Mama, I won't stop, yeah. Play with me, let it, yeah. Halo on me, Sailor Rock, yeah. Got me with school, girl. Keep one, move, girl. You my little baby boo, girl. I love you like my favorite color blue, girl. Real spill, yeah. I'm a recipe, yeah. Broke, real, little rich. Fall in love with her. She just wanna be a VIP with her. Don't blame me, oh, niggas shame me. Had to get it how I got it on my own 2 feet.
The Patriots are now on the clock. The 49ers are now on the clock.
I won't let it change me. I'm the same man.
I stay myself, I never change, yeah. Dirty soda, treat me like a stain, yeah. Do whatever, get you paid, yeah. Rolling from the cradle to the grave, yeah.
Picture me putting my city all over the map. They wasn't believers, I had to get even and mad. We coming up, pulling up, jumping all over your grass. So tell them I got a new girl. Tell them that I'm the bank and I want all my 50s in cash. I'm tired of living check to check. I need 20 models, this is smiling in my grave, fresh to death. I've been Wu-Tang with a spectral deck. Yeah, I got that I gotta just get off my chest. I cannot miss it, got last on my list and you next. Take it how you want it. I ain't famous like I want it, but I think I might just skirt off. Blow the speakers and turn up. Pop up. Go to church with my shirt off. Tell the Lord that I'm here now. I've been waiting for so long. I've been patient for so long. Breaking rules like there's no laws, and I did it for a long time. If you don't like me, take a ticket. There's a long line. Nice to meet me. I think the pleasure's all mine. They've been clocking me so long, I think they lost time. Ooh, you lost. What you mean? Woo! What you mean? Woo! And now I'm just a so what you mean? Woo! Hold up, whoa, what you mean?
The Saints are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock.
Adrenaline popping, the blood will be leaking and running. Yeah. I do what I do, I don't care if you
The Lions are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock. Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
Every running back that played against him hated the experience as he netted the most tackles for a loss of any player this year and setting a new school record along the way. As Matt Miller put it, he has a knack for watching the ball, never being fooled by the play action, and getting to the ball carrier in the backfield. He had the ability to single-handedly shut down an opponent's rushing attack in school, but we'll see if that translates to the NFL.
We did, whoa, I ain't in the talking, go chop off your lips. If I ain't in your top 10, go top off a bridge. My black boys that knock off your lid. I thought y'all gon' pop off, so hop off my... What you mean? I said, what you mean? Listen, I don't trust her. So, no, I said, what you mean? Whoa, I said, what you mean?
You thought I was finished, you thought it was over. You thought I retired, you thought I went fishing with Kobe. I'm still as
The Rams are now on the clock.
Still a put a partner rapper here like Moses.
The Browns are now on the clock.
I'm cooler than a cup of yogurt. Black flag boy, truck soldier. I'm cool with laws and ayatollahs. Rap gods like Klops and Olga. I'm King Kong, ain't nobody told you. You think Rose still. And Bobby Brown about to go get. Paul McCartney, I'm rich. I'm Muhammad Ali, I talk. I'm I'm James Brown, about to tear down this. I'm Michael Jackson, them baddest bag on get it. What you mean?
The Ravens are now on the clock.
You know,
The Titans are now on the clock.
What up, Pig?
The Redskins are now on the clock.
When I pull up, they notice me. Come and talk to me like Jodeci. But don't you be too close to me. Them goons you see, let it go for me. I bring them things, I bring them things. I call them, he bring them things. Mucho, I bring them things. Looking so expensive, rings and things. I bring them things. I bring them things.
The Texans are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock.
Man, you don't want what them, bro.
The Falcons are now on the clock.
Better get low.
The Jets are now on the clock.
No friends, oh.
The Chiefs are now on the clock.
Chanel scarf like rainbow. $1,000, this ain't your cloth. You ain't, that ain't no sauce. I can see the noodles made for poodles. I'm thinking about the LaFerrari coupe. 1.8, the option is the roof. Greens is a secret to the youth. Your goals are malnourished. Please spit the juice. Y'all be vaping, I be maiden. Yes, y'all be aping. I'm Richard Mill Nation. No diamonds, just tourbillon facing with gears.
The Bears are now on the clock.
When I pull up, they notice me. Come and talk to me like Jodeci. But don't you be too close to me. Them goons you see, let it go for me. I bring them things, I bring them things. I call
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
things. Mucho, I bring
The Raiders are now on the clock.
rings and things. I bring them things. I bring them things. I bring them things.
Here's a little story about a kid from Morocco. Had to show Carlito I was Benny Blanco. Check it out. Raindrop, all set. Plug, we the outlet. Child put me in the box. I'm in the box off. All the face shorty, socks off.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
Canaries,
The Packers are now on the clock. Adam, what can you tell us about that last pick?
A torn Achilles tendon almost dashed his NFL dreams, but through pure determination and will, he found a way to rehab and impress scouts at the Combine. He was able to make strong cuts and doesn't look as if he's lost any speed as a result of the injury. Even with the success he's currently enjoying, there's significant concern about him doing too much, too fast. Count on this training staff continuing his rehab to make sure he's at 100% before he sees the field. He's a significant investment, and I can't see them rushing him back until he's truly ready.
I bring them things looking so expensive. Rings and things.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Bring them things.
The Bengals are now on the clock.
Things. I bring them things.
People tryna say I'm on the enemy. Got a code with my dogs, can't get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Man, amen.
The Vikings are now on the clock.
No way in, no way out, do or die. So on roll when I roll, must be. Amen, man.
I can't ride Benz, I don't do peace. I beast, I gotta eat. Saber tooth, tiger, diamond tooth teeth. Rockin' right now, won't you come peep? I was outside. The way to shake, leave your mouth wide. You need to say grace for your sake.
The Broncos are now on the clock.
Man.
The Chiefs are now on the clock.
I've been dealing with
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
putting up the numbers, we ain't keeping score. Amen, amen. I be on the block, my side. Run it in the house for it's 12 o'clock. Yeah, the hood love me, but you gotta watch. Amen, amen. I just three, I don't do sleep. Yeah, tryna see UV. Yeah, we gon' fall through, coming through deep. Amen, amen. Yeah.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
Ice the logo on the cross.
The 49ers are now on the clock.
I rep the set, gotta stay blessed. Yeah. Amen, amen. People tryna say I'm on the enemy. Got a code with my dogs, can't get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Amen, amen. Man, put it into me. Everybody tryna take the identity. Everybody around me turn to a friend of me. Sit back while I take on the remedy. I cannot let it get into me. This playing a toll on me, meant to me.
The Saints are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock. The Colts are now on the clock.
Legging with the we dump it off like V. Ramonovic. Sorry, homie, you know we not friends, it's off of politics. Politics never get to see who really running. Now you know who running. You rappers on punishment. Papa dog, they be lying on they rebel. Everybody scared a little linky man is evident. Feeling like 50 way back.
The Chargers are now on the clock.
Millions of mother 301 screaming 4-4 on my Louis. Papa tags by the mode. Don't they dummy? Pretty much for a gold. Black and yellow with the boots and the gold suit. We had the go-go last week. We don't really care who got it last week. Riding under me, the plug and really bumping me. Go some bad. You don't want no problems with a GD, CPG. I'm the king of the streets. I never had to struggle when it through a beef. Always 10 toes, so it's hard to defeat. And trust me, I've been looking hard for.
The Rams are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Oh, Vita dudes and eyes. Homie, always say to the guys on my life. Been addicted to the power, ain't gon' lie, yo. Ain't no fear, I'm never willing, put that up in yo. Ain't no telling when we do it, we just couldn't get ya. Got a bad thing, it ain't lie. Why, with some keep my wide, north side, bumping north with a deck. When I was a baby, I was wildin' for respect. You gon' get your with the set. Around here and talk crazy, you get we ran so many out of here. Wonder why young licky.
The Ravens are now on the clock.
Say it twice, you gon' get peace. Anybody ever ask what happened with the bleach? Running from they almost had me when I slip. Way back, I almost started there. Around the same time, bumping till I burst a tip. I ain't know who went harder, made me wanna celebrate. Now we in the game and I'm so busy from the bank. Look at you like, dog, look where you came. I don't give a about, man, yeah, change. And let your styles and I need my change. DMV, I'm a of the year. Legging with my fears. Rapping.
The Titans are now on the clock. The Redskins are now on the clock.
Don't need no text from the boys. We just need respect from the boys. We don't wanna fall in love by the force. So I just get the little read drilling with the boys, yeah.
The Texans are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Bears are now on the clock.
Okay, I was gone for a minute, but I'm back now. Sit back down. Seem like everybody nowadays, Hollywood. Oh, it's like that now? I'ma show you how to act now. I'ma show them how to act. I'ma show you. I'ma show them how to act. Okay, now picture little Bobby, just a youngin' run around with his man's in his hand, feeling like a man. Run, put it to your brain like. Everybody know you ain't about it. Everything you talk about, I know I can live without it. Red light, stop, green light, go. Everything ain't what it seemed like. I know.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
And this is merely the beginning again. What you been living in? The box under the bridge, like Anthony Kiedis, looking for something to complete us and maybe lead us. A long way from equal is how they treat us. Body of a builder with the mind of a fetus. Turn on the television and see the vision they feed us. And I wish I could erase that. Face facts. Everybody people, everybody bleed, everybody needs some, everybody love, everybody know how it go. Everybody people, everybody bleed, everybody needs some, everybody love.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
I've been knocking Joe down like it witness. God is my witness, I'm witness, but on the real I think I need another witness. If it was 17, black dad and white mama wouldn't change a thing. Light skin, certified as a house. Go figure, in my blood is the venom master. It's like the devil playing space with the pastor. But he was born with the privilege. Man, what is that? People told me as a child, as a little boy playing with his toys, I should be ashamed. And some people look ashamed when I rap, like my great-granddaddy didn't take to the back. Not accepted by the ghetto. I don't give a praise God, I can see the light. Everybody talk about race this, race that. I wish I could erase that. Face facts. Everybody people, everybody bleed, everybody needs some, everybody love, everybody know how it goes.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
Everybody bleed, everybody needs some, everybody love.
The Packers are now on the clock.
Okay.
The Giants are now on the clock.
Sit back down. Seem like everybody nowadays Hollywood. Oh, it's like that now. I'ma show you how to act now. I'ma show them how to act. I'ma show you. I'ma show them how to act.
The Steelers are now on the clock.
Know your place, yeah, know your place, yeah. I got like right now, I'm impatient. I got women on the cell trying to give me. I still wish it would, I still wish them well, yeah. Put my problems in them. Only check up when the checks come. My pockets looking blessed up.
The Panthers are now on the clock. The Bengals are now on the clock.
They talking like they jealous of me. They talking like they never love me. They talking like they next door. I still treat them like son. Showers on the way. I've been working 25 hours every day. Pull up with the bands, have them dancing in the rain. Pull up with the bands, have them dancing in the rain. Yo. Know your place, yeah, know your place, yeah. I got like right.
The Vikings are now on the clock.
I got women on the cell trying to give me. I still wish it would, I still wish them well, yeah. Know your place, yeah, know your place, yeah. I got like right now, I'm impatient. I got women on the cell trying to give me. I still wish it would, I still wish them well, yeah. Promises and wishes, candles for my exes now. Ain't no fingers, let the count my blessing now. Promises and wishes.
The Broncos are now on the clock.
No rings.
The Chiefs are now on the clock.
Promises and wishes. Why would I ever start celebrating? Why would I ever start celebrating? I'm naming all the hearts I've been breaking. I'm naming all the hearts I've been breaking. The showers on the way. I've been working 25 hours every day. Pull up with the bands, have them dancing in the rain. Pull up with the bands, have them dancing in the rain. Yo. Know you.
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
I got like right now, I'm impatient. I got women on the cell trying to give me. I still wish it would, I still wish them well, yeah. Know your place, yeah, know your place, yeah. I got
The Patriots are now on the clock. The 49ers are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock.
Oh, are you listening? Oh, you gotta hear.
The Colts are now on the clock.
Gonna hold me down. Dig deep, feel the burn. I've got a calling, so watch and learn. I heard a voice of this broken hymn saying, "None that this is who I am." I know you ain't there yet. Don't stop to catch your breath. You're going higher, 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 higher. Let go, set me free. Got the streets all I need. We're going higher, 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 higher.
The Chargers are now on the clock. The Rams are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Don't let it bring you down. Look up and see the light. You're not alone, don't give up like that. Oh yeah, got a ways to go. Break that wall, let the spirit flow. I know you ain't there yet. Don't stop to catch your breath. You're going higher, 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 higher. Let go, set me free. Got the streets all I need. We're going higher, 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 higher.
The Ravens are now on the clock. The Redskins are now on the clock. The Texans are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Bears are now on the clock.
As we go on, like we do. When it's hot outside, I wanna just chill with you.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
There's a little sunshine in the summer breeze. Baby, if you feel the same, let me know. If you feel the same, then let me know. Yes, I do. What you got to lose?
You done made it to see a whole nother summer and it feel good.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
Neighborhood, let the wind blow, open up the window. That girl is poison like Belleville DeVoe. We have a barbecue to do FO. Swimming pool party in the back on the low. And the plates of food will be laid out for free. Little kids, get down. I have a bus pull up with Tommy the Clown to do the jerk, go to work and do that dance that'll make your whole body hurt. Playing Bombardier, Comic Clear. This that time of the year for everybody to be boisterous. Rock with Snoop Dogg.
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Steelers are now on the clock.
What you need, little mind at ease. There's a little sunshine in the summer breeze.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Baby, if you feel the same, let me know. Feel the same, then let me know. I wanna go. Yes, I do. What you got to lose?
Shined up my white walls, night falls, I'm feeling good. I'm doing things that you never would, like surfing with the sharks or shooting in the dark, riding on a bike with my grandson at the park. Evolve while I elevate, take flight, levitate.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
I'm cold as but summer ain't the winter. Finna, bender, Kona, on a three-wheel motion. I'm headed to the ocean, caravan for
the Vikings are now on the clock.
Up the boulevard we go till we.
The Chiefs are now on the clock.
It's summertime. You go off and we go on.
As we go on, like we do. When it's hot outside.
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
What you need, little mind at ease. There's a little sunshine in the summer breeze. Yes, baby, if you feel the same, let me know. If you feel the same, then let me know. Yes, I do. What you got to lose?
The Patriots are now on the clock.
I heard these always hating, said I'll never make it. I heard these always talking with them. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I heard he's mad at me cause I'm getting money. I heard he's mad at me cause he's on me. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
The Saints are now on the clock.
They ain't seen it.
The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock.
Yeah, either way, young getting paid. Yeah. I heard he's mad at me cause
The Bills are now on the clock.
some money in my.
The Colts are now on the clock.
It's okay, yeah. Either way, a hater always gonna hate, yeah. Mad at me.
The Chargers are now on the clock.
I'm supposed to make it out and I don't bring my. No way, no way, no way, yeah. They ones and they here to stay, yeah. I heard these always hating, said I'll never make it. I heard these always talking with them. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, yeah. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, yeah. I heard he's mad at me cause I'm getting money. I heard he's mad at me cause he's on me. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, yeah. It's okay.
The Rams are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Dummy. It's okay, though, got it, you really want it. I spent 13 on the ring and now I feel unlucky. Hey, she love my diamond ring, she said she wanna touch it. It's okay, I get 30K just to hit the stage. Hit my Michael, in my Michael J. I get cake, I cannot complain. Been finessing since I was a kid. In the second grade, selling lemonade. Get paid, hold up, wait. Can I get paid? Yawn, in a break, feel like I'm in space. See a snake, kill a snake, get paid. Get left every day, so get your straight.
I heard he's always hating, said I'll never make it. I heard he's always talking with them. It's okay, it's okay.
The Ravens are now on the clock. The Titans are now on the clock. The Redskins are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Bears are now on the clock.
Had to cut you off, you was on some dun. You was supposed to be my dog, why you hate on me? They say success, turn your friends to some enemies. It's crazy, cause it's shining, now you act shady. Yeah, but I guess it's okay. My mama told me you would show me your ways. Yeah, but I gotta check with him. I had the bands, pull up in the land. Diamonds on me look like Erdy. Erdy's always hating, said I'll never make it. Erdy's always talking with them. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
heard he's mad at me cause I'm getting money. I heard he's mad at me cause he's on me. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, yeah. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, yeah.
Rather you than me. If you've been with me from Port of Miami, it's been a journey. Ain't nothing changed.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
Maybe a little more. Blame it on America. I'm pulling off the lot, I bought the cash. Whoa. Her future bright, don't give nobody bad. Whoa. Be looking good inside the whoa. But I noticed that she missing all the edges. Whoa. I run the game just by running with the whoa. Pro attitude, they got rich calisthenics. Whoa. Walking in
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Steelers are now on the clock.
Your dog did a damn, you never wrote a letter. Whoa. Still in the box, got a rapping acapella. Whoa. Kim Treasure, people with the weapon. Whoa. I got it, boy, don't make me be the devil. Whoa. He knocking on the door and know the password. Gave me his blessings while I'm hotter than the last verse.
Dead presidents, dead presidents. Dead presidents, dead presidents.
Let's go, all my little militant. Let's go.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Dead presidents, dead presidents. Dead presidents, dead presidents.
Feds. Let's go. We innocent.
I got that if like Tommy Lee. I make money. On my third passport, and I got at the airport. I got bowling green dollars on my dollars. Busting down 100 in the bathtub.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Some house shoes. I got
The Vikings are now on the clock. All right, team is now off the clock. Adam Schefter, can you tell us about their newest player?
Well, he was creeping up draft boards around the league until he took a big hit late in the season that knocked him out for weeks. Unfortunately, when the combine invites went out, he was still rehabbing from corrective surgery. Without his combine numbers, it became difficult for scouts to compare him with other players in his position group. His pro day didn't help much either, as he looked much worse than he did before the injury. I've heard from a source that the team had a workout with him where they did their own evaluation of his health. I guess they must have liked what they saw to have just drafted him now.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
Let's go, all my little militant. Let's go, we innocent.
Dead presidents, dead presidents. Dead presidents, dead presidents.
Feds. Let's go, we innocent.
Hands on me, got the yellow brace. Check off in my pocket like the yellow paste. Was what I was asking. Low facility.
The Saints are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock.
Yeah, that was my state of mind. Keep the blocks over there, we call it Lego land. Meanwhile, it's like it's Amsterdam. Boy, fresh, you know, got the tropes. 16 when I bought my first rollie. Legend in my hood, just like a never ride in the extra car. Dead presidents, dead presidents. Dead presidents, dead presidents.
The Lions are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. The Rams are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Yeah, I've been
since my early days. I've been stuck in my worldly ways. Propaganda, press, pan the camera. Please don't look at me in my face. Everybody might see my pain. Off the rail, might myself. Bored with life as aboard this plane. Steward this sex if I need help. Maybe what's your last name? Hopefully it still ain't been changed. Something about you make me not doubt your op. Will silence my brain, scream louder. Asking when them gon'
The Ravens are now on the clock. The Redskins are now on the clock. The Texans are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock.
I see black cats in the daytime too. I see black cats on the daytime news with handcuffed wrists and their skin turned blue. I met God once at the rendezvous and felt starstruck.
Vince, the car's out front.
Got things to do, got to make my moves. I can't miss my flight and miss you too, boo. First class seats is overrated. Won't go unless they overpay us. Nowadays I'm overdating. My street for they well acquainted. Their morning is calling me. Good vibrations is all I need. All I need. All I need. Move your body if you came here to party. If not, then pardon me. How I'm supposed to have a good time with death and destruction's all I see. Out the sight.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
It's calling me. Good vibrations is all I need. All I need. All I need. Party people, yeah. Party people, I like to see you dance. Party people, yeah. Party people, I like to see you dance. Party people, move. Party people, I like to see you groove. This is how we do. This is how we do.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
Yeah, pulling up with the crew. Oh my goodness. Must have done sang with the roof. Oh my goodness.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness.
The Packers are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness.
The Giants are now on the clock.
Square in the cross, so we know true north. Oh my goodness. Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw. Oh my goodness. The law, it's a shame, rhyme. Crime. It's a shame they let us jump out of Bentleys with dirty vans. Hit the stage for 15 minutes, get 30 bands. Swiss bank counting clean money with dirty hands. With some hood that's ready to with the. Since I came in and made my name a name brand. French, Paris clubbing like a caveman. We threw up the pyramids, now they say we Illuminati. I'm a tsunami, what the it's a little yachty. No blood diamonds, I rock gold like a king. Jury so cold, made them blow.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
I'ma be some type of role model. I go full throttle, desperado. That's the motto. Vic in Chicago is Hugh Hef at the grotto. Brazilian model, she mean mugging like Frida Kahlo. Drinking it with an Alicia Machado. I'm the ticket, you just hit the lotto. Pulling up with the crew. Oh my goodness. Must have done sang with the roof. Oh my goodness. You sitting looking stupid on the stoop. Oh my goodness. I would take notes if I were you. Oh my goodness. This was designed with the stars.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness. Smiling with 50.
The Vikings are now on the clock.
The law, it's a shame, rhyme.
The Chiefs are now on the clock. The Cowboys are now on the clock.
I signed to the rock cause I'm timeless. Top off the Mozzie, my behavior is mindless. On kids, we major, you mindless. Fresh out the cell to the booth. Drop the roof, I'm still in the hood. Tell, shoot. Hope with a club. The judge, you rappers is false flagging, you a fashion. What's cuz, what you know about? What's Velo? Why Barry Lee, your head ringing? Free Vic Mensa, I'm a star, chain swinging. This that music.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
Without paying, y'all playing, we playing. My Himalayan, Gallardo, that's a sacrificial lamb. I'm seasoned cam, no matter, blam.
Pulling up with the coupe.
Oh my goodness.
Must have done same with the roof.
Oh my goodness.
You sitting looking stupid on the stoop.
Oh my goodness.
I would take notes if I were you.
Oh my goodness.
This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north.
Oh my goodness.
Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The law, it's a shame, rhyme, crime.
Every other night I'm outside with the. You ain't got chips. The world, you got chips. You could the next man's girl. Sounds harsh, but they been ripped apart my world. The way Kiss told it should never be misquoted. The that you wave on the camera, we been toting. Selling love potion my whole rap career. So your streams and downloads could never match the kids. We could go foreign until it's boring. My sheep will keep jumping the fence until you're snoring. Street poetry, I'm more Wale for Lauren. Till the world is mine like Illmatic and Lauren. Written on a to a table full of fresh skin in the type of rappers we know. Got the right numbers on it. Burn the Carter down like I'm Nino.
Pulling up with the coupe.
Oh my goodness.
Must have done same with the roof.
Oh my goodness.
You sitting looking stupid on the stoop.
Oh my goodness.
I would take notes if I were you.
Oh my goodness.
This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north.
Oh my goodness.
Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw.
Oh my goodness.
The law, it's a shame, rhyme, crime.
I've been rolling on the freeway, I've been riding 85. I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive. I got anger in my chest, I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe.
LOV on my right leg, that's Gucci. Dig what I'm saying. LOV on my man, that's Poochie. Dig what I'm saying. Caught a little jet lag, but I'm golden. Yeah. We deserve Grammys and some Oscars. They deserve Whammies, they imposters. I be rolling with my project homies. It's a vibe. I just put the homie. It's a vibe. Over switch sides, it's a vibe. Yeah. I gon' do it. I gotta accept that I'm a. I pull up in several different options. That album most ever. I shatter your dreams with this cream I make. What? Gotta be on the thinker. I say. What? I can't feel my toes, but ain't gon' fold up. I was in the double law when I rolled.
I've been rolling on the freeway, I've been riding 85. I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive. I got anger in my chest, I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe. I've been rolling on the freeway, I've been riding 85. I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive. I got anger in my chest, I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe.
Dig what I'm saying, Chanel drapes on me daily. Dig what I'm saying, sponsored by Mercedes. Dig what I'm saying, this Creek Cologne is on me, maybe. Dig what I'm saying, I'm going hard. Yeah. I pop in your memory. You should be glad I'm showing you sympathy. I gave you true love out the gutter. Ever let you go, you gon' suffer from it. I gon' do it. I gotta accept that I'm a. I pull up in several different options. That album most ever. I shatter your dreams with this cream I make. What? Gotta be on the thinker. I say. What? I can't feel my toes, but ain't gon' fold up. I was in the double law when I rolled. Yeah.
I feel like I should be giving up. You can't leave it's too much. But I'm tired of you, me on. And I don't like where this is going. And I've been stuck in all your apologies. Gave my all, but you wanted more from me. Keep
woke up. So many.
Oh my God.
So many. I done made sacrifices. So many sacrifices.
Straight up.
I done gave up so much free time, knowing time ain't free. I sacrificed it. My girl showed me love, she know I make sacrifices. And if it's real love, then you make sacrifices. To get ahead, man, you gotta make sacrifices. That's how hungry my appetite is. Yeah. What you telling me? I sense the jealousy, I got telepathy, I got the recipe, I got the streets and I don't got no felony. Forward thinking, yeah, my mind is ahead of me. Mama said it's gonna be whatever you let it be. It's some homies I grew up with that's dead to me. It's some that I just met in debt to me. What's in common is they both pay respect to me. I get it my way from Friday to Friday. My girl is a mix of Aaliyah and Sade. I came a long way from that Marvin and I pull out the driveway like I'm in a car chase speeding. And if my she know I'm leaving. No text, no call, but at airplane mode. Cold, no P code, no time to change clothes. Same clothes, love if you're living by the same code. G code, leave. You do that to me, back to my destiny. Penthouse, bird's eye view, that's a nest for me. I got myself out of debt, so when you see me, know you somebody I never need. Sacrifices. So many sacrifices.
Straight up.
I done gave up so much free time, knowing time ain't free. I sacrificed it. My girl showed me love, she know I make sacrifices. And if it's real love, then you make sacrifices. To get ahead, man, you gotta make sacrifices. That's how hungry my appetite is. Yeah. I cut the drama out my energy. Focus on an inner me, never on an enemy. And I done sacrificed my own time. I done sacrificed my own mind. I done sacrificed the club life. I done sacrificed my love life. Look, I cut the drama out my energy. Focus on an inner me, never on an enemy. And I done sacrificed my own time. I done sacrificed my own mind. I done sacrificed the club life. I done sacrificed my love life.
Also, I done sacrificed the thug life. Diamond shining, ain't no dull light. Drop my top to get my mind right. Pull up in the Rari loud pipe. Them the dime, my wrist a Hyundai. Ooh, yeah, Gucci Python. Ooh, yeah, she play with her. Yeah, I bought that new charm. Pop on, I told her come see about me. Come on, come see me. The devil had entered my soul, my mama had beat it out me. The devil, my mama. Remember my grandma had told me you better be somebody. Hop in my seats, massaging. Watch how I lead the posse. I made a M deposit.
Paid all these dudes with the game. Yeah. Sacrifice your strides for that stain.
Sacrifice.
Heard you sacrifice your life for that change.
Yeah.
She sacrificed that money for
white.
Left hand got 3 rings. That's brum. We up one. Bad, dear savage. Take her to the mall and buy something. That's gonna wanna make your friends come.
Yeah.
Make way with the timing.
Tell me.
Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice? Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice? 10 toes, yeah, you gotta stay down, eh? Just some yawn, looking for a way out, eh? People watching, yeah, I gotta skip town, eh? Hit my phone if you need a hold.
I done made sacrifices. So many sacrifices.
Straight up.
I done gave up so much free time, knowing time ain't free. I sacrificed it. My girl showed me love, she know I make sacrifices. And if it's real love, then you make sacrifices. To get ahead, man, you gotta make sacrifices. That's how hungry my appetite is. Yeah. I know my great auntie was a slave. I could only imagine all the sacrifice she made. I could only imagine all that she had to take. I'ma make sure all the she gave wasn't in vain. I sacrificed for your entertainment, boy. I'm Mr. Anderson in the Matrix. Check the last name, it's all facts. In the human race, it's all about pacing. Look at all the ones I outlasted. I'm the one at the end like I count backwards. Never satisfied, details classified till the afterlife. Make a sacrifice down.
Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice? Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice?
I done came up, bustin' down the whole
broke, and step back. Want your people swag. You ain't even gotta ask. What are those with his dad? Please don't touch my rap. Please don't touch my rap. I'm racked up like rappers. I'm wrapped up on camera. Hit out on camera. Squeeze like asthma. It's rare wrath when I wear wrath. Bear wrath when I wear wrath. Might invest into some rap shit. Lord, still shit wrath. And I'm dripping on rags. Rick gon' be the tag. Do the digital dash. Yeah, I'm boasting, never brag. Please don't touch my rap. Or the Chris Finn Nash. Alessandra Gucci glasses. The W Anderson collab. Yeah, you pop it like it. Yeah, you drop it on the. I'ma buy another. Cause boys bring it back. Yeah, you know how to make it last. Plus and keeping tabs. I'ma fly first class. Quavo hit him with it. Please don't touch my rap.
Don't step on my Ralph Simmons. Don't step on my Ralph Simmons. Don't step on my Ralph Simmons. Do you know how much I'm spending? My closet, it worth about $1 million. To the little out the runway. Then the kitchen. Ralph Simmons. All kind of crazy colors. Living color. Left wrist. Roll it. Ice. Make some Margiela my sweater. Mama told me never settle. Ralph Simmons, don't lace him. Got your wanna.
Huh? Wait, don't wanna talk about the paper. I swear to God, these be haters. They be hating, I feel out of. Live in cul-de-sac, don't get along. Ooh, right with my neighbors. Diamonds on my neck and roll it on. Now I later got underbit flavors. I'm with my lifesaver. Ooh, feel like Darth Vader. I'm a boss, you know I might riff it. Ooh, right in my basement. Yeah. But you know that I'm gon' face it. Wait, that's the reason that they mad. Color Uzi, yeah, he made it. Yeah, I would have rap for I made it. Yeah, I would have rap for I made it. Yeah, got that rap all in my basement. Yeah, once I got patience. Yeah, I'm famous. Yeah, put myself inside Marc Jacob. Hey, making a place with my label. I get it, I count it. 100 on my table.
Stolen silver lasers. Rubies red, my skin too black to blush, too red to tint, not pages. The stain on the wizard up. Pockets full of mint leaves. It's smelling like it brushed teeth. Say cheese, see the porcelain. Water, see backwoods. Raft dragging on the floor. In it. I'm torching the road in these Gucci flames. Stuck to the pavement, they glued. I'm 2.5 million in the venue and 2,500 a tube. I'm cold like I'm sick with the flu. I cover my face and I'm spring summer 2002. Yeah, please don't touch my ride. In the grass, Teddy, with the Teddy. Quick with the hands ready. Please don't touch my ride. Shirt off, I'm Cam, ready. Dead stock in memory. Please don't pop my tie.
Like the way it sounds, Frody? Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe. Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe. It's too hot, drop the top off the wagon. Lay back, fire like dragon. Man, I'm flying past Saturn. Out of here like I ain't that savage. Two. It's like I'm at the studio with Michael. You can hear me dancing on the beat. Bam, about to put a mansion on the beach. 100 Latins in your lobby. That's what happens when you're around with body. And I put that on my mommy. I will never give my heart to a if I could just make a dance that goes with this song, then I'ma be on. Basic, gon' dance to it. Basic, everywhere, gon' dance to it. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover, in it. Let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover, ball in it. You gotta, baby, shake that, shake that, shake that. You gotta, baby, shake that, shake that. Shake. I got 2 shows, I'm about to pitch another. Throwing alley-oops to my brothers. We all shine, nobody victims. I'm on these sweatsuits.
Black Pippins, I swag different. That's why the money in the bag different. Come up short, you have your fam. I lay on beaches and swerving whips. You ain't serving, you just an urban myth. Every day, get ride around Queens on a jet ski. It's me. Every day, get to the day I die. Every day, get man, I that and I that bouncing up and down. Nearly broke. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover, let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover,
You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to stop the truth. How dare you to stop the truth? Look, you're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to stop the truth. How dare you to stop the truth? When I come round there like a bad boy, do it. Want all the talking, go on and do it. Running through the party, bottle up. Rolls in my ear saying storms, don't do it. Devil on my shoulder, I don't lack. Hitting with a business, I don't scrap. Even when I'm bar, I'm so easy right, but there's no car and no mash. What you talking about? Clown, stand down. Never had a thing, never had a pound. You were never bad then, you ain't bad now. Never had them, then look back down. Wait, I saw bare kicks, saw bare clothes. Said not that, I can't wear those. I don't like them, they're not my thing. They went silent, they're all weirdos. Like yeah, storm's gone clear. Never had a Tom Ford or a Montclair. Man, them I can't, but you see my don there. Tell them don't do it, don't dare. Don't care who you know from my block. You're not Al Capone. They can take my car and my crepes. I'll still do the road in my socks. Like who's gonna stop me? You, him, little man. I got blue slims. Don't be an idiot. Move smart. I've been killing it. New king. You were never ready for my new stuff. You're a boy by yourself. Go and group up. And when Crep went states for the BTs, I was covering Crep like a boot cut. If mad, it's a family thing. Straight family thing. Dumb man, I broke no salary thing. Had a young thing called Amy telling me to come round hers on a Valerie thing. Hashtag Murky Academy thing. You were like art and the gallery thing. Dumb boy there wanna chat about bars, wanna chat about. You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to stop the truth. How dare you to stop the truth? Look, I'm too hot. I got money in my shoebox. I'm the man of the house when my show sold out like the brother from the Boondocks. Beat Swan on my boombox. Still meat from the stew pot. Man, I'm go sick on my tune drops. Little man, that's a hooplo, not a hoopla. What? Pronounce it right. I go Maggie, I'm down to die for this. I don't care, bro, I'm down. Man stress, so I'm bound to like my slips. Wait, I'm bound to ride for flips. Real G's gonna ride around to this. Man, I got no time to write at this. I never left my 9 to 5 for this waste man thing. I don't care what rave man's in. I came here to relax, but if it gets mad, make a young boy take man's things. Try to tell me I'm way too big to rebel. Nah, man, you're never too big to rebel. I was in the O2 singing my lungs out rude, but you're never too big for Adele. Leave my yard, blow a kiss to my girl. Salute to my sister as well. Gotta keep trophies down at my mum's bit. Man, I'm getting way too big for my shelf. Man, I see bare MCs on the sideline, but I still got a couple bangs in the pipeline. Man, I got grown men at me. You're getting way too old for the timeline. You're getting way too old for this. Should've looked after your kids. Get out the booth, go home to your son. It's never too late to commit. It's like man love, put my name in a random flat, get a plane to Qatar. This year I learned how to take care of business. Next year I'll learn how to play the guitar. You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to stop the truth. How dare you to stop the truth? Look, you're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to stop the truth. How dare you to stop the truth?
Yeah. Young Gerald. Yeah. Yeah. Die line with the boom pow. Every week now I switch to a new style. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything I do end up in the news now. Yeah. Lead a club with a few now. Just some Hollywood and they do. I'm in the mood now. 2 a.m. What you wanna do now? What you wanna do now? Little baby pass. Don't spill on me. That's Margella. Got this Oakland game to tell her. She look familiar. At Coachella, what's her name? Isabella, forget it, yeah. It's like a week ago, but we both know how weekends go. Tryna function, got some places we could go. Lot y'all got me speaking slow like, I'm blessed. I don't GA. You tryna, yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less. Yeah. Say less. Hey girl, what it do? If you got friends, cool, bring a few through. No fun if the homies now R.I.P. Nate Dogg, this too true. And you know what I'm down for. Round 2, round 3, and a round 4. Mood switch when she knocked at the front door. Next up was the uproar. Yeah, was like a week ago, but we both know how weekends go. Tryna tuck off, got some places we could go. Swear she got the like wow, she's blessed, I'm blessed. I don't GA. You tryna yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less.
Sheesh. What you saying? I don't understand. I'm out my mind. I popped. Sheesh. I swear this lock y'all got me stuttering. Girl, you not fall in love again. Sheesh. Get it. My favorite rush. You talkative, ain't gotta say too much. Be quiet. Who got some grapes? I'm trying to. I'm off both of these. Get it. Not complicated. No conversation. Get it. Not complicated. No conversation. Please say less. Please say less. Please say less.
I'm blessed. I don't GA. You tryna yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less. Yeah.
Thoughts with a feeling, and you ride it like
Falling too fast to prepare for this. Tripping in the world could be dangerous. Everybody circling as vultures. Negative, nepotist. Everybody waiting for the fall of man. Everybody praying for the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one. I was born to run, I was born for this.
Whip, run me like a racehorse. Pull me like a ripcord. Break me down and build me up. I wanna be the slip. Word upon your lip. Rather that you rip. Break me down and build me up. Whatever it takes. 'Cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes. 'Cause I love how it feels when I break the chains. Whatever it takes. Yeah, take me to the top. I'm ready for whatever it takes. 'Cause I love the adrenaline in my veins.
I'll do what it takes. Always had a fear of being typical. Looking at my body feeling miserable. Always hanging on to the visual. I wanna be invisible. Looking at my years like I'm martyrdom. Everybody needs to be a part of them. Never be enough from the prodigal son. I was born to run, I was born for this.
Whip,